We're back, right? We're back, episode 2. It's really episode 3, but we'll say episode 2 just because.
Episode 1 is unreleased.
Yeah, unreleased footage. You have to pay us to get it. But we're, first podcast, we didn't really want to give our names, but we figured, why not? We got Eli over there.
Hello, everyone.
We got Ciel over there.
What's up, guys?
Our Mr. Mendoza, if you know him.
It's my work name.
It's
It's
my
what
work
the children know me as, but yeah.
But yeah, so there's been a few changes from last one. You guys noticed that we had our name was Liberal Minds. It's a great name. I can see where many would think that's a good one because we're from Liberal. We're speaking our minds. But we figured that name is a little bit, as a committee, we had decided that name's a little bit too political. I know in our eyes, we know what it means, but like if you not really Google, but YouTube it, a bunch of political stuff will come up. A bunch of Bernie Sanders stuff, and we want to be mixed in with that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we don't support Bernie.
Nah.
Or anyone.
Nah, yeah, I'm just kidding, guys. Yeah, we don't want to be associated with politics. Yeah.
It was a cool name, but it doesn't really go with what our podcast is about.
Yeah, I feel like our pod just kind of like whatever. Just we can talk about whatever we want. We're gonna be spontaneous. We're gonna be changing subjects. We're gonna be arguing. We're gonna be doing everything. So we decided as a group to change it to off the cuff stuff. We thought of just off the cuff, but that was taken. So off the cuff stuff. I feel like that's a little bit better, which means it's a synonym to like spontaneous, impulsive, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be it. Off the cuff stuff.
Los Tigres del Norte would have been cool too, but that one's taken.
Yeah, it's already taken.
That one's also taken.
But yeah, if you are one of our followers, the name it's already changed. So if you saw that, then that's why we had to change it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
we're also changing or getting a new logo.
Oh yeah,
So
hey, shout out to Eli for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take credit for that.
Our graphic designer.
He's basically everything. Eli in this podcast.
Nah.
No, but
I am not the secretary.
Okay, I'll see how to do that.
Sexy secretary.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna kind of left a topic kind of just floating in the air from last time. Eli had mentioned about talking about like a 10-year. I guess you could say. Everyone's seen those memes, those videos, 10-year challenge, right?
New decade, new. Yeah, everyone's looking back.
New decade, new me. But we're gonna do kind of like that, but just kind of more personalized at first, and then just overall general. So 10 years ago, Eli, how was life for you? How was life different now that we are 2020 to 2010, 10 years ago? What was different now and then?
I was single.
Hey.
So I
Me too.
I was a little more independent.
I was actually seeing someone at the time, but not anymore.
You're right. I take that back. Me too. We'll get to that later.
I was actually living in Alabama and then moved to Kansas. I had less responsibilities.
What city in Alabama?
It's called Oneonta, Alabama. Oneonta, yeah.
Oh, what's like a major city close to that?
Sounds Hawaiian.
Birmingham. It's about
Birmingham.
about an hour and 10 minutes from Birmingham. Yeah, I was there for about a year. And then, I was actually raised in Kansas, but I had to move to Alabama for personal reasons. And then I lived there for about a year and then came back to Kansas again.
Personal reasons because, you weren't married, but then you came to Kansas and you were, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that's why.
Hey, how was life in Alabama? Is there a lot of racist people there?
Yeah.
Was it hard for you as a Mexican?
Yeah. In case you don't know, I am Mexican. And the city that I lived in, it was hard. There was hardly any Hispanics.
Was it a big
Uh,
city?
About the size of the city that we live in.
It's not very big for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, Birmingham is actually a pretty good sized city, and yeah, there are Hispanics there, but in the smaller cities in Alabama, you don't find much Hispanics.
But you said that you did feel the racism, but like how? Like,
I actually
do you
did.
have like a story? Or
Oh, I have a lot of stories, but
say a good one.
I
One of them.
remember during the time that I lived in Alabama, they passed this law, the immigration law, very similar to the one in Arizona.
Oh, damn.
So I don't remember the name of the law, but pretty much, it gave regular policemen the power of
To ask for
to ask
documents?
for your documents, for your green card, for your. So at the time when I was living in Alabama, I was already dating my wife, and she lived in Kansas. So a friend of mine was taking me to the airport. I was driving, and he was gonna take my car back, to Aniana, and he was taking me to Atlanta, to the airport, and I was gonna fly to Wichita. On our way, this law is already, in place,
Yeah.
So this cop, he just spots me and says that I'm Mexican, dude. He follows me and pulls me over for no reason. I was under the speed limit. Being Hispanic, in a state where you really are a minority, I was taking care, I was driving fine, everything.
Speed limit, everything.
Still, he pulled me over. He asked me to get out of the car. He questioned me about every single detail he could probably think of. He even asked, like, who were my parents, what job they had. A lot of questions that, didn't even make sense.
Did you tell him though? Like,
I told him.
Do you have to give that kind of information?
You don't, but you do get.
You get shot if you don't.
Yeah,
It's like black
you get nervous, you get scared, they're the ones with authority, and then I guess sometimes you just comply. But I told him right away, hey, I'm going to the airport. I gotta catch my flight, Well, long story short, I ended up missing my flight.
Ooh.
But the good thing is that, once I got to the airport, they were able to help me and got me another flight, and I was able to make it to Kansas on that same day. But I spent or that cop, took about 2 hours, man, interrogating me. And he took me to his car, and he was making a lot of calls, man, trying to find something. So
trying to pin something on you.
So he could, arrest me.
Yeah.
And that's probably the I would say that is the worst experience that I have ever had in
The authorities.
racism, being Hispanic.
It's profiling you, which is. So he didn't have a reason, right?
He didn't have a reason.
Did he tell you?
Everything he asked.
Did you ask him why?
Yeah, I said, why are you pulling me over? He just said a random checkup, they were having issues that day. So he was just trying to find something, to get me in trouble. But the good thing I had everything that he asked. I had my insurance, everything was fine. So, but yeah, it was a bad timing, for me to be there in Alabama.
2 hours in a traffic stop.
But yeah, that's where I was 10 years ago, and
Wait. Anything good to say about Alabama?
it's a beautiful state.
Is it green?
No,
It's like a swamp, no?
No. It's actually very, I would say, very similar to Colorado. It's got a lot of mountains, lakes. It is beautiful, and it's something that I actually enjoyed. Of course, I had some friends. I made friends, and good friends, but the landscape, a lot of rain. It's true. What you hear about Alabama, it seems like it's always raining. And I mean,
every day.
Not
like
every
Florida?
day, but more than what we get here in Kansas. And it's a coast state, so the beaches are pretty close too.
What in the world? I didn't know it was in the coast.
Yeah.
On the coast.
Like the tail of it. No, the tail of it is right on the Gulf.
Oh, the Gulf. Oh, wow.
So we, I mean, some friends and I,
How
on the
far
weekends, we got away, to
How
the
far
beach.
was the beaches from where you were?
Most of them from where we were at,
Mm-hmm.
I would say maximum about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of cities from Alabama.
Just know
I know like
Birmingham.
Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah. Football.
Tuscaloosa and Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Is that the? Oh no,
Pinson.
Montgomery is probably the. Is that the capital, Montgomery?
I don't know.
Who cares? It's not geography.
I think it's
What?
Birmingham.
Is it Birmingham?
I think it is Birmingham. Yeah,
That the bigger city? Yeah, I think so.
I would say so.
Well, Eli, that was a good
Interesting.
start to your 10-year. Sorry it was a negative. Well, I mean, not all of it, but I'm sure you had your ups and downs in there. But now let's move on to Ciel. 10 years ago. What was it?
2010.
2010.
2010 was good to me, man.
Wait, say Eli, say it.
I mean, probably the audience has already figured it out. I mean, if I was living in Alabama on my own, I am the oldest in this crew, in this podcast.
He is. He could be my dad.
Yeah,
He reminds
I
us quite a
kinda
bit that he's
could.
older than us.
No,
you can't.
it's
I'm just kidding, guys. My dad's younger. Just kidding.
I am your dad, Eli.
let's put it this way. Your dad could really be my brother.
Well, yeah, you could be my brother too.
I mean, we're not that far from each. I mean, he's not that older than me.
Wait, who?
His dad.
Oh. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Ciel, what you got?
Yeah, so, man, where to start? 2010. It was a big year for me. It was a good one. A lot of good things were going on. Let me share one good story. 2010. You guys might have heard this. I might have told you, Tony. Yeah. I had my first girlfriend in 2010. Yeah, it was interesting. She was the new girl. She had just moved to live to our school, and I won't mention her name just to protect her. I don't want her to. I want our fans to be all over her.
DMing her?
Yeah. I don't even think she lives here anymore. I have no idea where she's at. But
Instagram
yeah,
is worldwide.
Well, it is, but I don't know. She might not even be alive for all I know. But
You never know.
yeah, we never know. An interesting story about her. So I only dated her for, well, I don't even know, honestly. I can't remember. But I remember one day while we were dating, I showed up to school, and this was in 6th grade. I was in 6th grade 10 years ago. Yeah, for half of 2010, the beginning. So I show up to school one day, and then everybody's asking me, like, they start asking me, hey, did you listen to the radio yesterday? And I was like, what the heck? The radio? No. Like, did you?
The radio.
They're like, I was like, did you listen to the radio? What did I miss? Like, yeah, it was, you missed it, man. You missed it. That's all they were saying, like, you missed it. I was like, what did I miss? And nobody wanted to tell me. And eventually one of my friends later on, he asked me the same thing. Hey, did you listen to the radio? No, man. What happened yesterday? Oh, your girlfriend dedicated a song to you.
Hey.
I was like, what?
Oh, I do remember this.
Yeah, and it was on.
Was this a Mexican radio?
Yeah, it was on La Mexicana.
Wait, do you remember the song? Did they tell you the song?
No.
Did
Well,
they tell you the song?
I think they did,
Shit.
but
She was thinking of you. She
I think it was
It was probably El Color de Tus Ojos.
yeah, you're right.
Háblame de ti.
I think it was Los Recoditos. But yeah, and I don't know what I can't remember what.
Did you
I
tell
don't-
her?
You don't remember what
I don't
song
remember
it was?
what. No, I don't. And I don't remember what I told her or anything, but what I do remember is somebody that knows me outside of school did hear it.
Oh, yeah.
One of my mom's friends, she heard it, and she told my mom about it.
That's funny.
My mom was like, hey, one of Osied's little friends dedicated a song to him on the radio. And my mom told me about it, and I mean, of course, she wasn't okay.
How
with
did she react?
Spanking.
Well, she was like, hey, que una muchacha te dedicó una canción en el radio. I was like, oh, sí escuché, pero pues yo no sé por qué. Esta muchacha está loca por mí, pa, pero
Pero
Pues
yo
yo
no
no
le
sé.
hago caso.
Pero no hay
yo no
nada
sé qué
ahí.
trae. Ya,
Yo no la conozco.
yo no la conozco ni. No, yeah, but that me and her, we only officially dated for a couple of weeks, but we were kind of like unofficially for the whole year, and yeah.
Damn,
And then, so I went to New York that summer, and I don't know why I decided to tell her I was moving to New York.
you do that a lot, man. You tell people some false information. I have a friend that thinks that
Yeah,
you were born in Chicago for the longest
Is she
time.
the one from the she work at Walmart?
At Walmart.
That's not the one.
I don't think so. I don't think she lives here anymore.
No, the one. Well, gone.
Hey, man, stop exposing him, dude.
I don't remember that one. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I told her I was moving to New York, and she got super sad, and she wrote me a letter.
Oh, man.
She wrote me a letter on the last day of school, like a actual paper.
You broke her heart. Dude.
I did, no, but wait. She wrote me a letter, and somebody took it away from me, another student, and then I took it back, and like the teacher noticed, and she was like, "What are you guys doing?" And she was like, somebody said, "Oh, they're fighting over a love letter," and she was like, "You know what? Read it out loud to the whole class."
Oh,
You
I was
don't-
like, "Oh my god, no!" And you know what I did?
What kind of teacher is that?
Yeah, an idiot. But you know what I did? I ate it. I stuck it in my mouth, and I made sure to get it all wet. And then I spit it out, and you know.
did you read it? You
No,
weren't able
I
to
got it.
read
I put it in my mouth, and I like just, made sure it was full of saliva, and so you wouldn't be able to
Did
read
you know
it.
what it said?
Nope.
Oh, man.
So 10 years later,
you don't know
I
what
have
it
no idea what that letter said.
Oh, you never read?
I
the
never
letter?
read it. No.
Oh, man.
And then we went to middle school, and I still remember the first day of school. I mean, the whole summer had passed, and I was, I was already past that phase. I was done with girlfriends. And I was
Only
like,
girlfriends.
I was done. I was like, you know what? I'm not dating till it's serious after high school.
Imagine if it said something like, "Don't worry about it. I have like a super bad illness.
I know.
You gotta die
And then
anyways."
she
Like,
died.
I have 5 months to live. So.
Nah,
Hey, dude, so you got serenaded through the radio.
I did, man. And I didn't even hear it. That's the
That's
sad part.
That's a wake up call to your current girlfriend. If she doesn't do that, it ain't real.
Yeah.
Well,
Shout out, you know who you are.
I ain't gonna say nothing, but
You
she
better
knows.
do it.
Now she knows. No,
That-
but yeah, that was
Wait, so that was 10 years ago? Your first girlfriend?
Mhm.
No girlfriends in between.
What do you mean? From here to after
Yeah.
that?
Because you said no, right? You said you vowed to no
Yeah, no.
till now.
Till
10
now.
years later.
Oh,
Wow.
wow, that's true. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
See, yeah, look, I told you I was serious. I was like, I'm gonna wait.
Sick.
I'm gonna wait for the right one, and here we are.
Here we are.
She hasn't dedicated a song to me on the radio, but there's still time.
Ooh.
She will after this, I'm sure.
that ain't no problem. Yeah, it's because we don't live in the same city, guys. I wouldn't. Yeah, doesn't work.
They don't have a radio station where she lives.
Mm-mm.
Why would you serenade him in the city she lives in?
She can always call the one.
No, you know what? The
from
same
here.
girl. She actually. So we didn't talk like middle school. Didn't talk high school. Well, most of high school.
But yeah, because you broke her heart.
Yeah, I did. Dude, yeah, we didn't talk up until our senior year of high
So-
school.
After you told her that you were gonna move to New York, she still saw you that you
She-
didn't move in
She
it.
saw me in middle school, dude.
She's like, you're back.
For how long?
What do you mean for how long?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I told her like the last week of school. Hey, I'm moving to New
Or
York
did you
this
make
summer.
up the story where you're like, I went, but I didn't like it, so I came back?
No. Well, I told her I was moving like the end of the school year, in May, and then the following school year, which was August, like 3 months later, she saw me in middle school, and she tried to hug me, and she went up to me, and I just ignored her. 'Cause,
she tried hugging you.
Oh yeah, she did. She tried to talk to me, and I completely like.
Like, nah,
I don't know
fam.
how I did it, man, but I ghosted her. And then, yeah, so we didn't talk after that until our senior year of high school. And I don't know why we were in the same English class, and we just started talking like in class, and then she started texting me, and eventually it was around prom time. So she started joking around about prom. She was like, "Hey, you going to prom?" And I'm like, "No, probably not." She's like, "Why? I want to go, but I don't have anybody to go with." She's trying to guilt me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that sucks." I was like, "Well, I mean, it just doesn't seem like my thing,
Sucks to suck.
And then she was like, "Yeah." And then a couple weeks later, she was like, "Oh, hey, this one guy asked me to prom, but I didn't want to go with him, so I told him I was already going with you." She was like, "I just told him that so I could say, because I didn't want to say no." I was like, "Oh no, that's fine. That's cool. You do your thing, but I'm not going." And yeah, she waited like till the last minute, and her friends were always like guilting me, like, "Why doesn't he ask her out?" And after that, she didn't talk to me for the second time in our lives. That was it. And now she's who knows where
Imagine
she's-
it.
I hope she's doing good. I'm doing great. So I hope
Imagine
doing
if
good.
she's listening to this podcast, man.
Hey, shout out to you.
It wasn't you.
It was him.
It was me. But hey, I know you're doing great. Okay.
Well, 10 years ago, that's pretty good, Sid.
What
Good
about you,
story.
Tony?
Me,
10 years back. Tell us.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember much. When I was a kid, I used to put pencils in my mouth, and I feel like I have lead poisoning, and the effects of lead poisoning is memory loss.
Nah.
So I'm just playing now.
Wait, is that really an effect?
No, it is, but
Oh.
they changed the lead to graphite
When?
a long time ago. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't remember how long ago, but I don't know. 2010. What was going on with my life? I was like, what grade were we in? 6th grade? 6th grade.
Half 6, half 7.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't remember. All I know is that 7th grade was a really fun year for me in school. I do remember that. That was one of like my favorite years in
7th
school.
grade.
7th grade.
Thought it was kind of lame for me.
I
What'd you
liked
do?
it. I
Illegal
watched
stuff?
trivia. Oh.
What?
Yeah, but we're not gonna talk about it.
All right, we won't.
I don't know. 2010. I was 12 years old. I didn't have much going on, to be honest with you. I mean, Sid already talked about his love life. I won't talk about it. It's not as serious as his. It was more of like a, hey, you like me, I like you. What up? Let's sit at lunch, and that was it.
Nice.
And it was some good lunchtime, but other than that, it was I didn't get serenaded, so I won't even talk about it. I won't talk about it. 10 years ago, not really much going on. I
You know
did-
what was going on?
I did enjoy the World Cup.
That's what I was gonna say. The World
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah. I do remember me. I think it was in June, right?
Well, yeah. Typically,
So
June,
June,
July.
I was in the summer. I remember I would always recording for my dad. He would always like call me back in my home phone. We still had a home phone then. I don't know if it was still a thing. I don't know, man. 2010.
Yeah.
It feels like it doesn't feel that far back.
It
me.
is.
It is. It's 10 years. I mean, it's a decade. Wait,
That's
is it a decade?
That's a
Yeah,
decade.
long time.
But it doesn't feel like that. Like to me, 2010 feels like so close. So I say 2010. So it feels so close to me. But I remember that my dad would always call me from work. He'd be like, "Hey man, make sure to record the Mexico games." I would always do that. I would always be like,
man.
"Yeah, I got you."
Mexico didn't do very good.
He got taken out
They
by
never do.
Argentina, no? By
They
Messi?
lost like 3-1.
Shh. But I was mad because Mexico lost, but I was all right because Messi.
I remember
won.
that game, dude, when Mexico lost against
Chicharito
Argentina.
scored. He scored against
Oh,
them.
that was the only goal, no?
Mhm.
3-1.
Yeah, but that was a good World Cup. It was like the first one I ever saw completely.
Well, Chicharito scored on the first game against France.
The second game.
Yeah.
Because the
Was it
first game
France?
was against
Ghana, no?
South Africa.
Oh, one
But
of
they
the
lost
African
against
teams, yeah.
Argentina.
Yeah, they lost against Argentina in the octavos.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about soccer, man, but I will never understand why they took that.
When we knew we were, when I knew
El
we were
Conejo
doing
Perez
the.
did.
Oh, that was so stupid.
Dude, they took him
the
and-
shortest of them all.
Oldest. He was
Really.
like 40 years old already.
The shortest, the oldest,
Yeah.
and he's not.
The
He's
baldest?
never. He's never
More
been that good,
aerodynamic, man.
Dude. I don't know. Yeah, I was mad at that.
He's
I don't
never
know why
been
he
that
was
good of
there.
a goalkeeper, and
No.
He still took Cuauhtemoc Blanco too. That guy was already like 42.
Oh, yeah.
they had other goalkeepers, man.
Mm-hmm.
That could
Ochoa.
have
I can
been
name a lot.
Ochoa.
Ochoa, Corona.
Corona,
Osvaldo
Luis
Sanchez
Michel,
was
Osvaldo
still-
Sanchez.
was
Sanchez.
Shh.
But yeah, that game was bad, man.
Yeah, that was stupid.
But I don't think it doesn't matter what goalie we had. Argentina was gonna win that game.
Mm-hmm. That's when they were all right. When they had a little bit of chemistry. Now they don't have chemistry at all. But no, when I was looking up, I thought 2010 was the No Era Penal game, but that was 2014.
That's
14.
crazy. We've from this 10 years ago. There's been 3 World Cups.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Wait.
crazy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
10, 14, and 18.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 2 more years for another one.
Probably
World
the
Cup.
saddest of them to me has been that loss against
Netherlands?
Holanda.
Dude, that was... I know. That
Yeah,
was
I think
a-
I cried.
I don't even want to remember.
Yeah,
man.
no,
Like,
let's not talk about sad memories.
Yeah, that was 6 years ago. Who cares?
Let's
We're
talk
talking about
about,
10 years. No, well, since I don't really have much to say about 2010, there's not really, I mean, I was 12 years old. There shouldn't be much going on then. I mean, 2010 was a really special year for me, but for other reasons that I'm not going to mention. But, so 2010 was really good.
So he did have a girlfriend.
No, I did.
Nah,
but
I'm
no.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, but yeah, it was, but I'm not going to mention it. So I'm not going to say 2010 wasn't a significant year because it was, but
It was. There was stuff going on. I mean, it was.
yeah.
We changed from single digits, writing 09 on our papers,
yeah.
on our homework, to
10.
10.
I mean, both of you guys were in school.
mm-hmm.
I was already working, man, trying to make a living. So were you good?
Where
Were
were
you a
you
good
working?
student?
Me? No.
You were.
And, you know, and that's funny because, and that's what I always tell my students, that I was never a good student. Never. Maybe until my senior year. That's when I was like, all right, I'll try. Which I would only go till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I tried it till 1. But
Yeah.
I just always thought that was so crazy that when I was in school, I was never a good student. And then ironically, I work at a school, right, to, you know, help them. So that's one of the things that I always tell them. I'm like, when I was, if I can go back, I would try a lot harder.
We all
than what I
say
did.
that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we all say that.
And
man.
that's what I
At
think,
that
like-
time, we don't really appreciate, you know,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
we
'Cause
have.
You're in that phase of, like, you know, I don't know, just stupidness, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. But
Playing around and not really caring for the future.
mhm.
And I mean, I also think sometimes, you know, if I could ever go back
Mhm.
to school,
Mhm.
like I would do so different than what I did.
Yeah, I think I can do, like, I was one of those students that would just do enough to pass. But I feel like if I really tried, I can do really well, you know, and I didn't take advantage of it, but oh well.
Yeah,
You know, the past is a past now. I mean,
I can relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
I thought about dropping out too, and now look at me. I'm working at a school too.
Exactly.
I thought about
I
that
hated
too.
school.
I think
My-
everyone had that.
Yeah.
Oh, not everyone, but a lot of us.
A lot of us. For me, it was my sophomore year. I
Hey,
really,
me too.
I
You know,
really
just- I
thought
think
about
sophomore year
dropping
just
out.
sucks.
Well, because sophomore year you turn 16,
Yeah, no, it
and
just
they
sucks
give you the
too.
option of like, all right, you're 16, you can.
You
Your
can.
parents can sign you out.
No,
You
but think
can.
about it. Freshman, it's kind of exciting because you're like, oh man, first year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your senior year is obviously the best. Junior year is like, oh, I'm an upperclassman now. Next year I'm gonna be a senior, and then sophomore year is like, wow, what's
But-
exciting
That's
about this?
But I
Nothing
mean, you're
going on.
closer. You're closer to graduating. You know,
See.
in your sophomore year.
Yeah, but sophomore year is kind
kinda
of
like
like
the-
Osiel said.
it's
It's
a
you're just kind of
boring
like,
one.
oh, well then what?
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I think we've all have experience. You know that, and we know what.
So if
what it
anyone
was
listening
like.
that's in high school, try because it's I mean, I guess it just depends what your goal is, but I mean,
Enjoy it, because then you got to work.
Exactly.
Try
You
your.
can brag about having a 4.0 or 3.5 GPA, because I graduated with a 2.8. and it's not because of my my intellect. It's more just because I didn't want to try.
Because we didn't really care about school.
Yeah.
The only subject that I really enjoyed was art. But I mean, I'm pretty sure, man. You're saying a 2.0 GPA.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
2.3 to pass.
Mine was like 1.6, dude.
How'd you graduate with that? No. Don't you need a minimum of 2.3?
I don't know where you graduated from.
Where'd you graduate? Which Kansas?
Where'd you graduate?
Mexico? I went to Mexico City and bought my my diplomas.
It was that easy.
Nah, yeah, maybe I am. I mean,
you graduate
I don't
in Alabama?
really remember.
Alabama's dumber. I think.
Maybe one of your years you were.
My GPA was super low. I can say
averages,
that.
Yeah.
But it like you said, it wasn't because I was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I didn't really try and didn't really care for school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're listening to us and you're in that era, you're in that stage, try your best, man. Because when you get older, you're gonna wish that you actually did.
Yeah, I think it'll translate to whatever you do when you get out of school too. Yes and no, because of course I don't put the bare minimum to what I do at work, but if you don't try at school and you don't, it'll kind of translate to work, I guess you can say. So kind of just start having that mentality when you're in high school to go to work, I would say.
Did you guys have those classmates that seemed like they were natural, man, like straight A students?
That was me.
Yeah.
They enjoyed school so much, man, that
not once in my life did I study. I never studied. I got 8. Well, except algebra.
Anyone else do a book report without reading the book?
Oh yeah.
I
would just like skim through it.
I did it for the points. I remember I got one of the books I got. Wait.
Shout out Spark Notes for those of you that don't know about it.
I think I got
a very good resource.
Aragon. I don't remember how many pages, but it was a thick book, maybe like a 3-inch book.
Aragon, is that like Harry Potter or what?
No, Aragon, the one with the dragon.
Harry Potter?
No.
But
Aragon.
Harry Potter. That's what it's called?
Yeah, Aragon.
Oh,
that's what it's called.
See, nowadays they have Google. They can.
Yeah, dude.
Kids can actually cheat. You know.
See, when I was in school,
we couldn't.
I'm not gonna say I didn't have Google, but we didn't have.
Well,
I cheated.
I mean, my sophomore year, I'm talking.
I mean, I didn't cheat.
2003,
use my resources.
Dude. Like, yes, we didn't have what you guys had.
I could have had that, but the thing is, I think when we were in school or at that age, I don't think we knew the power of it yet. Like, I didn't know the power of Google yet, as they do now.
It was barely coming out.
Yeah, like it was still new, so I didn't know to just copy and paste the question. You know what I mean? Like, if I would have known, dude, I'd be acing those tests and getting points and getting prizes like no other. But I didn't. Just because it was so new to me that I didn't know. So I would just guess and do the best guess that I do. And actually, that Aragon book, I got quite a bit of points. I'm pretty sure I got
like a Harry Potter book.
I feel like nowadays, it's so easy to be a good student. Like you could cheat pass, so easy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what else was new in 2010? FaceTime. Well, I don't even know if it existed.
FaceTime.
I'm not sure if it existed yet.
It was barely.
But it was
starting.
I think it was barely starting. FaceTime.
Because smartphones were barely coming out.
The iPhone 4 came out that year. It was the first year that Apple had a front camera on the phone. Ooh. It's like, how did you take selfies before that?
Wait, iPhone 3 didn't have a front camera?
I had an iPhone 3. It did not.
I remember that.
Didn't even have flash. It looked like an iPod. I thought it was pretty cool, and then the iPhone 4 came out, and it was square, and it was totally different, and it was like...
Yeah. It was like...
So it just made the iPhone 3 look lame.
I actually still have it.
You do?
I still have an iPhone 4. Yeah. I'm actually trying to fix it because there's a lot of pictures in there that I want. But...
Yeah, I mean... FaceTime. Before that, it was Skype.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever use Skype?
Mm-hmm.
I used Skype. I thought it was cool. When I discovered Skype, I was like, oh, he's Skyping my cousin that lived an hour away.
Just
but FaceTime is so easy to use though. Like,
Yeah.
you just go to your app and then boom, boom. Skype, you have to like sign in. You have to,
Well, I
tell
don't
them
know.
like
Well, back then, I mean,
you have to be like, hey, be there at 10 o'clock and we're gonna Skype. FaceTime is just like, all right, you get it to your phone and then you answer and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
a crazy fact on the iPhone 4 back in 2010. When it was released, it was priced at $199
No way.
for a 16 gig, and we thought that it was super expensive.
Dang, $199?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a pair of
AirPods.
The new AirPods are more expensive than that. Dang.
Do you guys remember texting on the old phones, before the
The
smartphones?
ones you have to like triple click to get J? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, we managed to like do it quickly.
I was
man.
like,
Do you remember
pretty
what
fast
phone
at
you
it.
had in 2010? What phone did you have in 2010?
I'm pretty sure it was a Droid Racer. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Those were... I thought
Wait,
those were pretty cool.
2010? A Razor?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
You were kind of behind your time, to be honest.
He had a good camera, man.
Those
Had,
are
like,
nice.
Because 2010, you had an iPhone 3. Right? Around that time?
I think I
'Cause
got it
that's
like
what-
the year after. Because when I got it, the iPhone 4 was already out, I think.
Because I don't remember exactly what year those Droids came out. The ones that you can like flip up to the side.
That was the
Have
Razor,
a-
no?
No, Razors are the ones that like kind of flat, no?
Yeah, they were
And
flat.
they're flip up.
No.
I think you were talking about
No, I know which one you're talking about. No, it's not.
what was the name of those
No, because there was just
It was an LG.
that had an actual keyboard,
Mhm.
like
It had two screens.
like a complete keyboard.
Oh, okay. So that's the first like crazy Android that came out. I remember that.
Was it an LG?
So it was a touchscreen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a touchscreen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait. Was
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking the ones. Remember the flat ones? It might be before 2010, but remember the flat ones that that would flip up.
Mm-hmm.
What were they called? They might not Motorola something.
Yeah.
Motorola Droid Razor.
it? No, the Motorola. No.
Oh no, Motorola is the brand.
Hey, but you know what? Remember the actual flip phone, the Razor?
That's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, but that
are you
was-
talking about the BlackBerry?
No.
Ah, Blackberries are so. Those came out in
Yeah,
2010.
okay, so it is Motorola
Because
Razor.
I remember
but I think
those.
it was just years back.
Those were the thing back then.
Blackberries were the iPhone.
If you yeah, pretty much.
Man,
they had
remember Isha had an iPhone. I mean, not iPhone, a BlackBerry Pearl.
BlackBerry, and then he had the Android Razor too.
No, but the Pro was so cool with the little ball that you would just roll.
And then the little pen, the pen
Some of them had, yeah.
had the pen with the touch screen.
According to Google,
with the
the
pen screen.
most popular phones in 2010 were the Apple iPhone 4, HT Desire, the Samsung Galaxy S, HTC Evo, the BlackBerry Torch, and Samsung Focus.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in 2010, I had I don't know. I don't know if it was a flip phone. It wasn't a flip phone. It was, what was it? It was like one of those that slid up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think I had
Yeah.
a BlackBerry at the time. Not the big ones, but the smaller ones. They didn't have the touchscreen, but they did have the ball that would move.
The Pearl. That one was awesome.
The Pearl, that's the one I had. Oh man,
I thought those were so cool.
yeah.
No, there was one that would flip like, it wouldn't flip it would flip like
To the
sideways
side.
and then go up.
Yeah, they were
Like a
that was like
180.
the first Android.
No, it wasn't an Android. It was like an actual.
Oh, 180?
Yeah, it would flip like this,
Oh.
like
Okay, yeah. So not to the side, not horizontal.
not to the side. It would flip
Yeah.
like up,
like
but not slide. It would
like
flip
a Lamborghini door.
like a yeah.
When iPhones came out, I wasn't really into them. They didn't really catch my attention until this game came out,
What game?
Angry Birds.
Hey, dude, wait, that was 2010.
Pretty close, man. December 11th, 2009.
Yeah, it probably became
and
popular.
it was released.
It became popular
Yeah.
in 2010.
I saw this guy playing Angry Birds, and I was like, "Hey, where are you playing, man?" I saw the game.
Yeah,
I wanted an iPhone, man.
that's pretty
Mhm.
good. That was a good game. So 2010, yeah, a lot of smartphones. I think that's when it kind of started changing, no? like 2010, and that time 2009, 2010 started changing to like smartphones, and then eventually we have to we have now. We're at to we have what we have now, you know. But yeah, 2010 was like a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, I still had an iPod. I think iPods are pretty.
Do
cool.
they still make those?
I don't know.
I don't think they. I haven't seen them because
there's still people that use them. I think.
But I think like right now it's kind of useless to have an iPad because an iPod because your phone does the same thing.
Well, I think some people just use them like strictly for music, like their original purpose. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not long ago we saw somebody on Instagram. Who was it? Cristiano Ronaldo had an iPod.
You had an iPod?
Yeah, not too long ago, a picture leaked of him like before a game. He had a little iPod.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, so
like the iPod.
The ones without. I think the shuffle.
Screen?
It was the shuffle, so it's
Oh,
even more
shuffle?
surprising because it was the little one without the screen.
I remember I had one of those.
Yeah.
Those were cool.
Which brings up a point. The shuffle ones where you had to download music.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not sure if it's 2010, but you guys remember like FrostWire,
LimeWire,
LimeWire,
Napster,
dude, all that stuff that you would have to download on your computer that gets a bunch of viruses.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, dude.
But back then we didn't know.
No, you just
Who cares? I didn't care back then.
Music.
I
Yeah,
knew.
exactly.
Oh, I don't know if I knew, but I didn't care.
Dude, I remember my dad bought a computer.
FrostWire, yeah.
I think it was around that time, 2010, 2011. He bought a touchscreen, which is not the best computer, to be honest. Yeah. It was
like a laptop?
Touchscreen computer. And that's why he bought it, too, because it was touchscreen. And I remember that I used it for that. I don't know if it was like FrostWire or eventually you did like YouTube Converter and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I did that, and like legit, that computer lasted a year because of me.
What happened to it?
Well, it got a bunch of viruses. It got really slow. And my dad, eventually like, no, we're not going to use this. And we actually brought someone in to for the viruses. I mean, my dad didn't know why there was viruses, but he would like notice like a bunch of the pop-ups. They would always come up and stuff like that. So he called up, remember Frank?
Mm-hmm.
He called him to
Clean
set
it
up, clean it up, and he did, and it was a lot faster. But I kept doing what I was doing, and it just eventually just
just downloading illegal
hopefully my dad
music.
My dad doesn't hear this because he made me buy him a new laptop.
10 years later, that computer's worth a lot now with inflation, I bet.
Actually, yeah.
I don't think I've ever owned an iPod. What I had, I don't know if you guys knew about the Creative brand. It was an MP3 player that had it let you record FM radio. And I really like that because, I mean, yeah, I listen to the FM radio stations. And also, like, sometimes I went to conventions, and I could record, speeches.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what I used instead of iPods.
Well, there was a lot.
I had a lot of MP3s.
Yeah, there was a lot of different MP3 like
the ones that had like batteries. Remember, you didn't have to charge them.
Oh yeah.
Just put a battery in them.
The Walkman.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Walkman?
I still had a Walkman.
So I remember one time my dad, me and my sister, we wanted MP3s for the longest time. So I feel so dumb from this, but he bought us MP3s. He bought 2 MP3s, and he sat us down and he's like, "All right, so I bought 2 MP3s, and I'll let you guys choose which one you want." So he asked me and Laddie. He's like, "So who's gonna pick first?" And he had 2 price tags. I don't remember exactly the price tag, but one was a lot more expensive, and the other one wasn't, right? So then he's like, so I think Laddie let me pick first.
So of course,
So
greedy.
So then I was like, oh man, like I at first I thought, I was like, it's a trick, like he did this on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was like, well, what if I don't pick the right one?
So then I let her go.
No, then I picked. I was like, so I picked the more expensive one.
Of course,
of course.
Just a quick.
So he gave me my iPod, and I was like, oh, cool.
It was an iPod?
It had no, it wasn't an iPod. It was
an
it was an MP3 player,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the one with batteries, and I think it did have more storage than the other one,
Mm-hmm.
and it was cool. I was cool with it. I was like, oh, sick, MP3 player, music. But then he gave Lottie hers, the one that was less expensive, and it was a Walkman, the one that you can charge without batteries. And I was like, oh no, why did I do that? But then, my dad then he gave me a lesson of just, I don't know, I don't remember the lesson, but the
A
point
life
is,
lesson that you clearly forgot.
but yeah, I kind of forgot it. But at the same time, I can see where he came from, just because it's a bigger price tag doesn't mean it's a better quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of prices, the iPod Touch, the 4th generation in 2010, was priced at $299 for 8 gigs.
8 gigs?
Wait, what was?
So it was more expensive than the iPhone?
That's a lot, man.
Wait, say that again?
The iPod Touch, the 4th generation, was priced at, no, my bad, $229. That's still a lot for 8 gigs.
Well, back then I think 8 gigs was
That's
okay.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Not a lot.
Mm-mm.
Way more than it is now.
You could get a tablet for that much, man, nowadays.
How much?
64 gig tablet, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what brand and stuff and generations and all that stuff. But speaking of iPods,
Did you guys own an iPod?
I never bought one, though. But I did own 2.
same here.
Too?
I had an iPod Shuffle I won at school. Because I don't know why I won it, but I won an iPod Shuffle. Then I had an iPod Touch that a friend, he gave it to me. I won't say where he got it.
He gave me one, too.
Oh, my God.
Let's
just
won't
say
where he got it.
Let's just say he served some time in the can.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know if that's why. I mean, but,
Can you think of other things that were going on in 2010?
Yeah, so you know how we're dealing with the whole coronavirus, which you've talked about. We're not gonna talk about it again.
Wait, can I take a guess? Are you gonna talk about like what's it called? A virus that was going around?
Yes.
Is it?
Let me finish.
Oh, okay. I was gonna take a guess.
I'll take a guess. No, don't take a guess. So we're dealing with the coronavirus. We're not gonna talk about it, like I said, because we talked about it already. But oddly enough, 10 years ago, not today because it wasn't the exact date today,
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago is, do you guys remember the swine flu, which is also known as H1N1?
Yes, I was gonna guess that.
It was around this time.
H1N1. Yeah, everyone thought they were gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
And,
wearing masks. And
Everyone was wearing masks.
Yep.
And I remember my family talking about, like, if it did turn into, like, a crazy, worldwide pandemic, like, what we were going to do, as a family to not get infected.
Mm-hmm.
But this virus actually started in 2009. It was founded in April 2009, and it was declared a pandemic in July 2009.
Oh, 2009.
So 2009, but it kept going through 2010 until August 2010 is when they ended that pandemic, which they found a cure, and then they started doing vaccination and stuff like that. But it's just crazy. Exactly 10 years ago, that a pandemic happened. Some kind of virus.
Where did that start?
From animals. I think Mexico.
It was
Veracruz, no?
Yeah.
Around those states, it was Mexico.
I was thinking that it was
The
in
ghetto
Mexico.
part of Mexico, the south.
Mm-hmm. And again, because, there's no kind of, what is the word called? There's no regulation on the meat over there.
Yeah.
They just kind of kill and sell, and all that is dangerous. Sometimes they sell live stuff. You know what I mean? So stuff like that probably happened in China. Same thing with Mexico. So it's just crazy to think exactly 10 years ago,
Yeah.
a same virus like that we thought was gonna spread all over the world, which now they still haven't found a cure for coronavirus, and I think that from what I was reading, I think it's gonna be like around 10 months until they
I heard about 8 months.
till they find a cure, because then the whole thing about like AIDS that they were killing people with the a cure to it that they
They're
thought
testing
they
it or
had.
what?
They were testing it, and they actually made it worse to some people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna try it on somebody,
Talking with people that were about to die anyway.
yeah. Did anybody die in 2010? Michael Jackson died in 2009. No.
Did he? 2010? I can't remember.
Mm.
I'm sure someone died.
Yeah, I'm sure too. No.
What else? What else?
Oh, you know what? 2009.
What?
Baby.
What, baby?
By Justin Bieber.
Oh, Beaver Fever.
Oh man, I remember my girlfriend in 6th grade. She was obsessed with them.
All the little
They were all obsessed with them.
crazy
Hey,
girls,
not
man,
gonna lie,
were in love with Justin Bieber.
Wasn't everyone?
Well, I mean,
That was a good song.
it was a banger
It was a
with Ludacris.
Uh-huh.
When I was 13.
My first love.
Baby.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, look at him 10 years later, man. He's married. I don't know who, but
What's her name? I forgot.
who cares? But he's married. He's doing good.
Haley.
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 Or Haley?
Yeah, Haley.
Yeah.
Haley's her name. Not to be confused with Eminem's daughter.
No.
Yeah. Well, I looked up information. I mean, just random things, you know. In 2010, we live in Kansas, and back in 2010, the minimum wage was $7.25.
It's the same as now.
2020, it is the same,
10 years,
$7.25.
Stupid
The
Kansas.
weird thing is that the cost of living has increased.
Mm.
People are making it with the same amount of money.
They just have 2 jobs now.
A few things have gone down though. Like gas
Gas is
is cheaper than what it was back in 2010.
Yeah.
Is that when it was like
2010
a
was like a $4?
$4?
It went over $4.
I remember that. Good thing I didn't drive back then.
Yeah, man.
But
Hey, you know what? Oh my God. Speaking of this, sorry, but this is something I'm passionate about.
Go ahead.
McChickens are not $1 anymore.
Oh,
Did you know that?
It's a disgrace.
They're like $1.85. Man.
I'm pretty sure their sale of McChicken's really gone down.
I hope.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's counterproductive now.
I
Think
hope.
about
'Cause
they're actually trying to raise the minimum wage to, I don't remember how much, but
they raise McChicken prices, but they don't raise the minimum wage. How do they expect these people to get a living? To
However, Walmart did. They did raise their
Okay. They're actually working on raising it to $11, to be the minimum wage in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to get that in 2020 and bump it up to $15 an hour in 2021 for next year.
Mm.
So that's going to be a lot.
It is, but won't they raise the cost of living too?
I'll tell you what else they'll raise. They'll raise McChicken prices too.
More than what they did already?
I'm pretty sure if they raise the minimum wage, they're gonna raise McChicken prices.
Still, man, el pastorcito
Mm-hmm.
will have tacos for
For
$1,
$1,
man.
I don't know, man. I won't be surprised they won't raise it to 125.
Like Chilangolandia. I don't know who they think they are coming into town, charging $1.25 per taco, when everyone else charges $1.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't go.
No, yeah, but you know what? When we went to Chicago, man, McChickens were like $2.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like
dude, I waste like $20
at
on
McDonald's.
Dude.
I know. You go in trying to get a cheap meal at 2 a.m. Got 2 McChickens and a drink and pay like $8.
Too much chicken and a drink here, $3.
I know. I was like,
Chicago, $25.
I was like, who do they think they are?
When I was looking up this information, it said that Kansas it's one of the cheaper states to live in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It depends where you live, too, because where we live,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually the most, one of the most expensive cities to live on, Kansas.
But it's expensive not because of the real estate. It's more because of taxes, no?
Yeah.
So real estate's cheap. It's just you got to save up to pay your taxes. But, yeah, so cost of living did go up. But I wanted to bring up something a little different, a little less political. Well, I mean, I guess no, it is political. Well, no, this is political too. Wow, it's not exactly 2010, but I'm sure you guys. I mean, we'll just talk about the decade. How about that? 2012. Do you guys remember the Coney?
Mm-hmm. Coney.
Coney
Yep.
from Africa, where he
Mhm.
was
He used children as
as
slaves.
slaves. Anyone know what happened to that dude? They kind of just stopped talking about
No,
him.
he's currently ruling the country of Nigeria with children.
Still,
Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't even know where he's from.
Uganda, I think it is. But I remember at the time where it was like such a big deal that they made like a really big video about
Just raising awareness.
awareness and people donating and stuff like that. But I just thought it was
It's probably a
interesting.
scam. Just like one of those emails you get, from Nigerian princes.
How many emails do you get? Nigeria from
Yeah,
Nigeria.
they're asking for your help.
I've never got that.
Scam. It's a
No,
scam.
Joseph Kony is his name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember that.
You don't remember that,
Uh-uh.
Joseph Kony? So they had put out a film, basically just raising awareness of what he was doing, and I think they were trying to, the U.S. government was trying to get in there to try to get him because I mean, using
Mhm.
kids as like slave workers and slave meaning like a lot of different stuff, But I don't know. I never really heard about it years after. Probably like last year's when I kind of remembered of him. And I'm just like, what did they ever catch him? Did they ever get him? Which is weird because, they got Osama bin Laden. How did they not get Coney?
And a Chapo.
And El Chapo. They got
El
Chapo
Chapo
too.
was mine.
And they don't get Coney? Like, what the heck? But, I don't know.
He just had a lot of kids, man.
A lot of kids protecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Child army. I can see that.
Wow.
But that was just, that was one of those things that I kind of just remember.
We just
from that
forgot
time.
about.
The invisible children.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I also looked up information, and I'm sure that you guys remember about this. That earthquake,
In Mexico.
the hit Haiti
Oh, that was 2010.
back in 2010, man. Like I remember, not remember. I was born in '85, and that's the earthquake in Mexico.
Where at?
In Mexico,
No, but what area of Mexico?
Mexico City.
Oh.
Yeah, but this one, I actually saw the live footage on the news. It was something bad, man. The death toll was I can't find it.
A lot.
But I think it is the second worst earthquake that has ever been recorded, of a magnitude of 7.0 on the Richter scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I already found the death toll, 230,000 people died. And I have vivid memories watching, the news, the footage
Mm-hmm.
of all the devastation. People crushed down by the debris, just lying there, dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had never, ever seen that on live TV. And I remember that because I used that on a speech that I gave, back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it was horrible, like meditating on how life could be so short,
Mm-hmm. Stuff like that would happen. Which here, even where we live, I don't remember. You remember a few years back where we had an earthquake? I mean, of course, it wasn't like crazy, like
I remember that.
like a 10,
Yeah.
10 grade earthquake. But there was, I think it was like a 3.0 or something like that. But the area we live in, there shouldn't, scientifically speaking, there shouldn't be an earthquake.
any.
But I think they blamed the earthquake to oil field drillers.
A lot of people felt
Mm-hmm.
that.
I don't
Earthquake.
remember, but I remember waking up that night or that morning to people posting on Facebook, like a bunch of people saying that the earthquake and they felt it on the south side of town and stuff like that.
I remember workmates saying that they were like sleeping and they woke up because they felt it. Like
Heavy sleepers.
A lot of people actually felt. I didn't feel it.
Me either.
But a lot of people did.
I think I farted right when it happened, and I was like, "Whoa!"
And it's weird because a lot of people, like from here, from Kansas, all the way to Oklahoma, like they felt it. They felt the vibration.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago. That was like in.
That was it?
No.
I don't remember how long ago.
I was on my way to Colorado, and like everyone was texting us. So it was like 2017, probably.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was further. Longer than that.
It was longer than that.
Oh yeah, well tell me then. When was
Maybe
it?
there was 2.
I'm not sure when it was, but it was longer than
well,
that.
then it was 2017.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna say 2012. There, I said it. Because that's when the world was gonna end.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Back in 2012, 2010. Trying to switch it a little. Some of the movies that came out. I don't know if you guys remember this or saw these movies. Inception. Watched these movies.
That was
I haven't
That's
seen
my-
all of it.
top 10
Inception.
movie list.
Yeah,
Inception.
that's a really
That's
good
a good
movie.
I'll tell you my top 10. Toy Story 3, boy.
Yep.
2010.
Shutter Island. You remember that
Vikings better.
with Leonardo DiCaprio?
I do not.
Oh, this is a classic. How to Train Your Dragon.
Never seen it.
You didn't like it?
I never saw it.
Have you watched
No.
that movie? No.
How many of them are there? There's like 3 of them. No.
3 of them.
I've
Dude,
never seen
serious?
it either. You really You really like it?
Yeah, that's a
And-
really good movie.
Hey,
That's a
hold
great
up.
movie.
What's good about it?
What is it about?
The story?
It's about Argon.
Aragon.
Or Aragon, whatever that stupid Harry Potter
No,
dragon.
no.
I'm just gonna guess. Is it about training a dragon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Despicable Me
Despicable Me. That's
that
a
was
classic
that
right
was a good
there.
one.
came out in 2010. Iron Man 2. Remember that? Watching that Iron Man 2?
Yeah, Iron Man 2.
That
Yeah,
was a
Iron Man
good
2
one.
was a good one. I think that's when they introduced Avengers
Yeah.
at the at the end in the credits, the post credits.
Little did we know, man, what everything was gonna happen after that.
I know. I mean, look at us 10 years later.
All the
Over here.
characters, like all the movies that came out after
Over 20
that.
movies that I don't know if Disney. I don't think Disney owned Marvel yet.
I don't know.
I think they bought them like that year, and they bought Star Wars later. So just imagine how much money Disney made in these last 10 years, because they've made over 20 movies with Marvel.
Yeah.
When they bought Marvel, I mean, they introduced the Avengers. There's been how many Avengers movies? 4?
4.
4 Avengers movies, and then
5. No?
It's Avengers and Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and
Endgame.
Endgame. So 4 Avengers movies, 3 Thor movies, 3 Captain America movies. I mean, they didn't. I think only Iron Man 3 was a part of when Disney bought them. You got Ant-Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man 2, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, the Guardians of the Galaxy, 2 of those. It's a lot. The Hulk, but the Hulk was before, so I don't think that was a part of Disney. And then, well, they've made how many? They've made a lot of Star Wars movies since then too.
A lot
Like
of them.
5, 6 maybe.
A bunch, yeah. I don't,
Man, it's crazy, and those made a lot of money too. Like
yeah.
these last 2 Avengers movies made like over $1 billion, and then the Star Wars movies made over $1 billion. Like 2010 was a good year for Disney. Made some good money.
Yeah, I remember watching Iron Man 1, the first one, and it was something like totally different than what I have ever seen. You know,
I mean, it was.
the sci-fi, it was pretty similar to like when Transformers came out. Like I had never ever seen such
Transformers were
great
good.
effects, you know. Like it was really mind blowing back then. And then comparing that to what we have now,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you can't really compare.
Yeah. But it's just the beginning, you know, the beginning of something new.
Yeah.
The beginning of superhero movies for Iron Man. Because before that, all we really knew was Batman, The Dark
Oh.
Knight. No, not even.
Hulk.
Just,
Dark Knight
The
came out in like 2009, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is one of the greatest movies.
And
of
then
all
Spider-Man.
time.
Yeah, The Dark Knight, yeah.
And then Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man. Those were before, too. No,
Oh,
wait.
those were good too.
Yeah, they were okay. First ones. With Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
They're okay.
Nah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, we'll leave that for another day, that argument.
Well, yeah, this is a pretty good topic, guys. 10-year. Nah, I don't want to call it a challenge just because it
Remembrance.
sounds corny.
Just
But
10
just
year
10-year, you know,
time travel.
decade ago.
Yeah.
Life is different from now and then.
There's so much we could talk about, but
Yeah,
I have a way better girlfriend now.
there's a lot. There's a lot of, not until she serenades you through the radio.
yeah,
Nah.
she has to, man.
That'll be just a bonus.
Actually, if she does that, that equals it.
Equals
So she has to sing to you in
in
person.
person.
Yeah,
She has to go above.
to better that. Yeah, to
Mhm. I agree with some. It's a good one. Nah, I'm just playing. No, but that was a good one. It was a good one. 10-year. Basically, our lives were different then and now. But I'm not gonna say what we're gonna talk about next time because to be
No.
honest, I don't know what we're gonna talk about next time. Just
if
Might
Anybody
have
have
a
any
guess?
suggestions?
we might have guests. We might not.
exactly.
We might not.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys, if you've made it this far, we appreciate, sticking with us, giving us your time. If you want to give us some suggestions on the comments, feel free to do that. If you want us to talk about some subject that you want us to investigate about, like, do it. We will.
Yeah, we gotta.
Mhm.
We will end up arguing with one of our good friends. They actually started a podcast too. Might as well give them a shout out. Why not?
Yeah.
They're gonna start a podcast over there in Tulsa called Manscaped. So
It's not what you think.
It's
It
not
is not.
It's not what you think.
It is not.
Exactly.
Yeah, we inspired them, so
I am looking forward to
this-
hearing them. So
this
yeah.
is the main reason I'm in the business. I'm not doing it for the fame because clearly we don't have that.
Nope.
I'm doing it to inspire people, and it's
Hopefully
brings
we
a great
inspire
joy to
you.
me. So I hope many more people start podcasts because of us.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Also, do you guys enjoy eating?
I-
Who
I-
does?
I'm
Who
actually-
doesn't?
It's
I'm
an
actually pretty
addiction,
hungry.
if I might say.
Yeah,
pretty hungry right
going
now, not
out,
gonna lie.
trying new things. I think we all do. So if you are into food and trying new things,
There's Estación Laguna.
Yeah.
well, no,
Oh, yeah.
not really Estación.
Oh.
Well, but yeah,
On YouTube. Oh no, we got a
go
friend.
check out Estación Laguna on YouTube, and you'll find content on the.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much grilling stuff, barbecuing
Uh-huh.
recipes. Check it out if you like it.
Yeah, check that out. But no, the one he
If
was
you're on
talking
Instagram, if you're on
about,
Instagram,
Instagram, we got a good friend of ours that's got a page. If you wanna, go follow him. It's called Grub Down with Izzy.
With easy.
With Izzy.
Izzy with the
double
Z.
Z.
Yeah. Follow that guy. He eats a lot.
it's a lot, and it's nice to look at what he eats and just, when you're feeling hungry and then you're like, I want to go out and eat, but you don't want to deal with the carbs and the calories. Just look at his page and
Help him
live
out.
through him.
This is a brand deal.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
But
But
yeah,
go
he's-
follow him. He's a good guy.
He's putting some good content.
He was
follow
actually one of
him.
the originals of this podcast, but he
Yeah.
moved and we have to take over. We got the show must go on.
Actually,
The show must go on.
he inspired us to start this.
It was
So-
yeah. Yeah. he
Yeah,
was-
just
shout out to
follow-
him. Shout out to his wife and maybe next week, depending on how the business, the negotiations go, give her a shout out too. Why not? But
Yeah, and we will try to upload weekly,
try.
if possible.
We got a busy schedule.
But
As often as we can.
Mhm.
Weekly
Well-
minimum.
if not, I mean, we'll try to do it as much as we can. You know,
Yeah, we got a
ASAP.
place now where we can do it, so that'll make it a lot easier. Because before we would always, argue about, where we gonna do it, but now we got
a funny story for you guys that we'll tell you maybe next time.
Oh,
maybe next time,
maybe.
or
because
We gotta let some time pass before the
authorities,
feds get on us.
yeah, the authorities are involved in this. So
Gotta let it cool down.
maybe next time, or we can save it, same as we did with the first episode, and
It's
be all exclusive content that you will find on Patreon, and you will have to pay, to listen to that.
not yet.
Nah.
Nah, it's
But
all,
yeah,
we're just joking.
It's a funny story, but it's also upsetting.
Yeah, we got some.
yeah, we gotta let the wounds heal a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still mad.
It's too fresh,
All
too
right.
recent.
All right, well,
Thank you guys for listening. If you've made it this far, we really appreciate it. Give us a like if you like the content, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see you.
Peace out.